So tomorrow is the day that we have all been waiting for. So at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, the Federal Reserve is going to be hosting an FOMC meeting. This is where they're going to announce the FOMC rate decision. If this is your first time ever tuning on in and paying attention to the market and the way that it reacts to a rate decision, then this is what you need to know. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So again, markets have been dropping since the trade war or the concerns of Trump implementing these tariffs have been instilling a lot of fear into the market. That's really been the only negative factor for the market. As we could see from overall highs for QQQ of 541, QQQ is the NASDAQ ETF, we are currently down about 12 to 13% from previous all-time highs. Taking that into consideration, the big focus for tomorrow is, are markets going to continue to sell off, or are markets finally going to begin to recover? If you can see from today, the day before that, the day before that, the day before that, the day before that, and the day before that, again, for the past 5 to 6 trading days, markets have been trading sideways. We haven't seen much progress on the downside, not making any new lows, but also not showing any progress on recovery because of one specific reason. What is the Federal Reserve going to do during this FOMC rate decision? And this is what you need to know. So tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, or at 1400, the FOMC rate decision is going to be released. As of right now, the expectation is to stay the same as where we are right now. It's 4.5%. We expect to be at 4.5%. According to the Fed Rate Monitor tool, which is, again, it's just based off of probability, there is a 98% probability that tomorrow the Federal Reserve is going to pause. There is a 2% probability that the Federal Reserve is going to cut interest rates. Now, let me make this very clear. If the Federal Reserve cuts interest rates, which is exactly what the stock market has been begging for, and it's what crypto markets have been begging for, right? Yes, in that case, markets should naturally skyrocket because it's not expected, it's not factored in, and it would be a surprise if actually reported. If the Federal Reserve pauses, then again, expect some volatility. We can't predict the future. We don't know how the market's going to digest that data. The thing that I do want to let you guys know is the reason I'm going to be live streaming tomorrow the FOMC rate decision is not just so much because of the rate decision, but 30 minutes after, for those that do not know, 30 minutes after, there's an FOMC press conference, as you can see at 14:30. That's at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, I will be going live for both the rate decision and the conference. The conference is normally about 45 minutes long. And this is where Jerome Powell, who is the head of the Federal Reserve, will go live and answer analyst questions. He will give about a 3 to 5 minute speech. He pretty much reads a script. Let me make this very clear. When he speaks and what he says through this script, it's pretty much the same thing month after month, right? Jerome Powell is not like a lot of other individuals that are in politics by any means. He stays in his lane. He doesn't say too much. He doesn't give his personal opinion. There is no bias of what he agrees with personally or what he doesn't. These analysts, after he gives his speech, will begin to ask him questions. And this is where the market is really, in my opinion, going to react. They will want to digest is the tone of Jerome Powell, who is the head of the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank. Is he dovish or is he hawkish in cutting interest rates? They want to know how aggressive or how willing the Federal Reserve is in cutting interest rates. Is it going to come sooner than expected, or are they in no rush? And in my opinion, if he states anything that shows that he is in no rush, nor the Federal Reserve, markets will drop. Because again, it sets back the timeline of when the Federal Reserve is going to start cutting interest rates. For those that do not know, according to their current projections for 2025, the Federal Reserve has 2 rate cuts planned for 2025. Something to take into consideration. But if his tone is hawkish and that he wants to be aggressive in cutting interest rates, then expect markets to begin to recover And again, that's where markets can really begin to make new highs. Now, again, this is all based off of his tone, and it's all speculation because the market thinks it knows what Jerome Powell is going to say and do. But again, the market often gets ahead of itself. This is why they call it a leading indicator or a leading market, because it factors things in advance before they actually happen. So if something new or something that was not expected is now factored in, then the markets will then react. It's a very fun time to simply be paying attention to the market. If you tune on in to tomorrow's live stream, you will see how we break down the rate decision, but then also based off of what he says and how he answers questions, we will watch it together as the market reacts to Jerome Powell in this FOMC press conference. You do not have to tune on in if you do not want to, but if you want me to go live, all I ask you to do is smash that like button, get this video to over 1,000 likes, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. All I want to do is make sure enough people show up, and I'd be happy to host that live stream public here on YouTube. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. My biggest suggestion for beginners is if there's a lot of volatility that's going to present itself, keep it light and stay tight, right? There's no reason to be super aggressive during such a critical and volatile time in this market, where you can end up taking a trade that you can later end up regretting. If markets really begin to recover, I would rather be someone that is late to a rally than early to a sell-off. Or if markets do begin to sell off, again, I can wait for that confirmation and then begin to short. That's the way that I like to trade, and that's the way that I like to encourage beginners to trade, is stay calculated and be intentional. And during risky or volatile times, you don't have to be afraid. Just keep that position size maybe a little bit smaller, being mindful of that volatility. I hope that the words that I said today were somewhat encouraging. Again, I hope to see you tomorrow. And if you want to tune on in for my live trading session right at market open, that's going to be the second link in the description down below. You can sign up today and watch me trade live as soon as tomorrow. Like always, let's make sure that we end the year on a green note. Take care, team.